judge control her courtroom as she always does. She's, a very capable and able and phenomenal judge.
Why is it important for her to come today?
Well, I think it's important because she's dedicated to the cause, and she wants to make sure that the American people know all the facts and get all the information and documents at their disposal so they can make a determination if they need telling the truth and
What do you think is going to happen with Michael Cohen?
I think Michael Cohen is in a lot of trouble.
Mr. Cohen made as Ms Daniels?
I think any recordings that Michael Cohen made without people's permission is a big, big problem for Michael Cohen and possibly the President of the United States.
Did Stormy request to come here, or did you try to convince her to come? Guys.
I don't have to convince Ms. Daniels of anything. Ms. Daniels is her, she calls the shots. She's the client.
Does she have a message for Michael Cohen?
Well, I think her message has been consistent, and that is she wants everybody to tell the truth and stop lying.
Does your client, Ms. Stormy Daniels, does she have a message for the President and perhaps for the First Lady?
Not at this point in time, no.
Should Michael Cohen be representing himself?
There's an old saying that any attorney that represents himself as a fool for a client. I think that would certainly be true in this instance, no doubt.
Does Michael Cohen have anything to be afraid of if he has recordings, the judge has recordings of him and you or your client or something to do with your case?
Well, I don't know that the judge would have any such recordings, but if Michael Cohen was making any recordings of anyone without their permission, I think that could pose a serious crime for Michael Cohen.
Are you going to weigh in on who should look at the seized materials first? The taint team, somebody appointed by the judge, or Mr. Cohen and Mr. Trump?
We may weigh in on that. We're going to see how things progress here today.
Why do you think the president is trying to
the documents first?
No, I don't think there's any question that this matter should be handled similar to any other matter, and that is the taint team should review the documents.
Or a hearing involving the president's lawyer has just wrapped.
He's played by a different set of rules, or should we say no rules at all. He has never thought that the little man, or especially women, and even more women like me, mattered. That ends now. My attorney and I are committed to making sure that everyone finds out the truth and the facts of what happened, and I give my word that we will not rest until that happens. Thank you very much.
All right, I will now accept questions about today's hearing and other topics relating to my client. Yeah, I think Judge Wood was very reasoned and measured in her approach relating to the documents. Our number one concern was that the documents, the integrity of the documents, be maintained during the process. It is clear from the order by Judge Wood that that's exactly what's going to happen. That will ensure that no documents are spoliated, destroyed, or otherwise tampered with, which is our chief concern in connection with this process. One thing I will say is this. I said last Friday and this weekend that Michael Cohen was radioactive and that anybody that was associated with him in the last 20 to 30 years should be very, very concerned. What we witnessed earlier in the hearing with the disclosure relating to Sean Hannity proved my point exactly. He is radioactive. Anyone that had any contact with this man in the last 20 years should be very concerned about what secrets of theirs are within these documents.
Lieutenant, thank you.
Depending on what is contained within those documents, I think there is significant danger to the president. The president trusted Mr. Cohen as his fixer for years. He trusted him with his innermost secrets, and I think that the chickens are about to come home to roost. Next question.
If you were Mr. President Trump, what advice would you give him today?
I wouldn't even begin to advise the president at this juncture. I think the ship has sailed.
Why did Ms. Daniels come to court today? There was no really reason legally for her to do this.
No, there was absolutely a reason, because we wanted to ensure that the integrity of the documents was maintained, and we wanted to lend her voice towards making sure that the American people learned the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth about what happened to her and to others in her position over the last 10 to 15 years. We haven't made a determination yet as to whether she will attend each hearing in connection with this process. Well, I think it speaks volumes, and I think Sean Hannity got thrown under the bus by Michael Cohen's counsel today, who was clearly more concerned about protecting the president than protecting Sean Hannity, but we're going to let them sort that out. Anything else?
Yes, are you concerned for your safety right now, as we speak today?
I have been concerned with my safety for the duration of the case, as my client has been, but we've decided the risk is more than worth it, and we're going to see this to conclusion, whether it's next week, next month, next year, no matter how long it takes, we're not going away. Thank you.
Well, the President of the United States suffered a big defeat, and I mean a big defeat, at the gavel of a federal judge in New York City today. Kimba Wood, in her 30th year as a federal judge, issued the most historic ruling of her career today because she denied a request by the President of the United States to prevent federal prosecutors in New York and FBI agents from reviewing the evidence seized in the FBI raids last week in New York City, raids on the home of Michael Cohen, the office of Michael Cohen, and the hotel room occupied by Michael Cohen. And since the evidence at issue in today's court proceeding overlaps with evidence sought by Stormy Daniels' lawsuit, the judge invited Stormy Daniels' lawyer, Micheal Avenatti, to be present in court today. And he is present here at the Last Word tonight. This time, when Micheal Avenatti went to court, he brought Stormy Daniels with him.
For years, Mr. Cohen has acted like he is above the law. He has considered himself and openly referred to himself as Mr. Trump's fixer. He's played by a different set of rules, or should we say no rules at all. He has never thought that the little man, or especially women, and even more women like me, mattered. That ends now. My attorney and I are committed to making sure that everyone finds out the truth and the facts of what happened, and I give my word that we will not rest until that happens.
It is such an honor to represent Stormy Daniels. I mean, you just saw the statement that she gave. I mean, this woman is truly incredible. I mean, she's courageous, she's brave. I was so proud to be her lawyer today, standing outside that federal courthouse with her fighting against people that are so much more powerful. We're talking about some of the people that are the most powerful individuals on the face of the planet. And for her to be able to attend today and make that statement, I've never been more proud to be an attorney for a client in my entire life, quite honestly. So it was a very
I've asked you this before, but let me just, and I want to get to what you experienced in the courtroom today, but would we be at this point in this proceeding today, in this courtroom, if Stormy Daniels had not gone public earlier this year?
No way. It's not even close. There's no question about it. It's not even close, and anybody that claims otherwise is completely full of it, for lack of a better term. I mean, there is no way that we get to this place without the bravery and courage and efforts of my client and what's transpired over the last 6 months.
And Judge Wood invited you to be in the courtroom today because the evidentiary base of this discussion today overlaps with your case. So you weren't there as some tourist. You were invited in by the judge. So you're sitting there, and the judge is pressing Michael Cohen's lawyers on something you have been publicly pressing him on, which is this notion of he's not really a practicing lawyer with many clients, and he says he's got 3 real legal clients, and eventually is pressed to reveal the name of the third.
If I can just set the stage, right. You know, it's a packed courtroom. Michael Cohen is there. Fortunately, he's not smoking a cigar like he was on Friday, and he's not there with any individuals from Russia, so I thought it was an upgrade for him. But you could cut the tension with a knife. And there's about 20 minutes of foreplay, Lawrence, on this issue. I mean, 20 minutes of back and forth about, well, Your Honor, we've disclosed 2 of the 3 clients, but the 3rd client is a very high-profile individual, and embarrassment. And the assistant U.S. attorney, who did a remarkable job, got up and spoke. And there's a lot of back and forth and a lot of buildup. I mean, this didn't just happen. And so finally, Judge Wood, who's an exceptional judge, one of the finest in the country by far, told Michael Cohen's attorney, I'm going to order you to publicly disclose who the client is. And Michael Cohen's attorney asked the judge, well, do you want me to do that on a piece of paper or do you want me to orally state it? And she said, well, it's up to you, whatever you feel more comfortable with. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, well, this is a no-brainer. He's going to put it on a piece of paper because it's a Hail Mary, Lawrence, because what you do is, I mean, if you're an experienced trial attorney, you write it on a piece of paper and you hand it up to the judge because you hope, like a Hail Mary, that perhaps the judge opens a piece of paper and reads the name and says, well, you know what, I want to think about this a little more. Or, I'll tell you what, we're not going to disclose it right now. So I'm thinking to myself, well, surely he's going to pick writing it on a piece of paper. But lo and behold, because this is how the last 6 weeks has worked for us, he doesn't pick that, okay? Because everything falls into place for us in this case. It's been a remarkable run. He said, well, I'll just state it orally. The client's name is Sean Hannity. And all the air was sucked out of the courtroom. You could not breathe, Lawrence. There was gasps in the courtroom. Everybody is looking around at one another to say, did he just say Sean Hannity? Did he really just say Sean Hannity? And within 30 seconds, 10 people stand up, 10 members of the press. They scurry out of the courtroom, of course, because there's no cell phones allowed. You can't just send a text message alerting your superiors to what happened, alerting the world. You can't send a tweet. So everybody has to rush downstairs to get their phones, to get out of the courthouse, to announce that, in fact, the third client is Sean Hannity. And at that point, all I could think about as I was sitting there was, I wonder where Sean Hannity is right now. Because his world just exploded wherever he is at this particular moment. And what was amazing to me, Lawrence, was earlier in the debate, the 20 minutes of foreplay, at about minute 3 or 4, Michael Cohen's lawyer had told Judge Wood that they had been instructed by this client that if they lost this issue, they were to take an immediate appeal.
Yeah.
Okay, so they basically fired a shot across the bow, right, to Judge Wood, basically sent a message to her. And I kind of chuckled when that happened because Judge Wood has been on the bench 30 years. I mean, she's like, that's not the first time anyone has shot such or done something across the bow like that. And lo and behold, they didn't take an appeal. They announced the name in open court. Yeah. It was a remarkable moment in my legal career.
Let's then listen to what Sean Hannity was doing his radio show when this happened. He started tweeting his responses to it, and then he eventually spoke clearly about it. Let's listen to what Sean Hannity said about it.
Michael never represented me in any matter. I never retained him in the traditional sense as retaining a lawyer. I never received an invoice from Michael. I never paid legal fees to Michael. But I have occasionally had brief discussions with him about legal questions about which I wanted his input and
Michael,
perspective.
What about this? I mean, Sean Hannity, it sounds to me like he came out and basically called Michael Cohen a liar about this.
Lawrence, I don't know this for a fact, but I'm going to take a pretty good guess at something. There is no question in my mind that there is one or more documents with Sean Hannity's name on it that Michael Cohen does not want disclosed. There's no question.
Right.
Otherwise, you don't even go down this road. There's no reason to even mention Sean Hannity's name. You don't even go down this road. Okay, this is all. There is one or more documents in what has been collected. This is just instinctually what I know as an 18-year trial lawyer who's dealt with a lot of big cases. Okay, there is a reason why they want Sean Hannity's name as a client, and it has everything to do not with what happened today, but with the next shoe to drop, which involves a document, an email, a text message. There is something.
Or a tape, because we know Michael Cohen has taped phone calls with people. He could have taped a phone call with Sean Hannity. There
is something there. Michael Cohen doesn't just volunteer the name Sean Hannity as a client unless there is a document that they want to deep six or keep confidential. It doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. Well, all roads right now, Ari, appear to lead to Michael Cohen. I mean, this guy, and I said this some time ago, I told you that this guy had a bullseye on his chest, that he was going to be expected to take the fall, and that I don't think he's built for it. I don't think he's smart enough. I don't think he's tough enough. And I don't think
he's from the neighborhood.
No, look, exactly. I don't think he's from the neighborhood, okay? I don't think this is a guy that goes and serves 10 or 15 years for you. In fact, I'm willing to almost guarantee he doesn't serve 10 or 15 years for you.